his goal that he set is to have the majority of schools, so more than 50%, open by day 100, at least one day a week. Hopefully it's more. And obviously
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki clarifying President Biden's plan to reopen schools, and a lot of parents and students not so happy about it.
One of those parents is Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe joins us now. Joe, with all due deference to Meatloaf, 1 out of 5 is bad, right?
What's Meatloaf? Is that a food of some kind? Oh, the guy from the 70s.
Yeah,
all right.
2 out of 3
I
ain't bad. 1 out of 5 is bad. I
Not
tried.
bad.
Yeah,
okay.
thanks.
Very good.
It's a Toddism.
Hey, look. Imagine that. It is a Toddism. 1 day a week. Imagine if you're a single mom for a moment, right? And you have to work every day. And you hear the Biden administration during the campaign talking about we're going to get schools open in the first 100 days. And then see those goalposts be moved to, well, 1 out of 5, to your point, Todd. I guess that's what we're aiming for at this point. This is a classic bait and switch, and it's not even based on the science. Remember Joe Biden during the campaign, all right, that guy from 2020 said, I will follow the science, I will listen to the experts, do what they tell you to do. He also said during the presidential debate, the second one, I'll choose science over fiction and hope over fear. Well, he's not following the science. He's choosing fear over hope. And now this is the result that you're seeing. He is bowing to the teachers union, obviously, because they were big donors to his campaign. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose those votes. But kids are the ones that are suffering at this point. We're seeing suicides skyrocket at this point. We're seeing visits to the emergency room for mental health issues increase by 31% for kids 12 to 17 years old. This is a farce, and it needs to be called out. Probably the biggest misstep of the Biden administration thus far.
Well, let's talk about this, because there's an article in The Athletic that is getting a lot of attention right now on both sides. Mark Cuban confirms that the Mavericks are no longer playing the national anthem at the home games. Within the article, it talks about a number of team employees only noticed this on their own. They said that it was not announced or explained internally. What is your reaction to that?
Oh, boy, the Chinese government must be giving a standing O right now to Mark Cuban for this decision. And look, canceling the national anthem on Mark Cuban's part of the very country that made you, of all people, a billionaire is quite funny. And you know what? What's not funny is what's happening to the business of the NBA, because everybody is noticing now that they have outwoke themselves. You look at the NBA Finals last year, Game 6, Los Angeles Lakers, huge market, huge franchise, LeBron James, their top player. They draw 5.6 million people watching that game clincher. You say, okay, 5.6 million, that's not bad. Yeah, compare that to 1998, Michael Jordan's final game with the Chicago Bulls. 36 million people watched him beat the Utah Jazz in that Game 6. That's 7 times the audience. So something's happening here, and it's the fact that the NBA has become far too political with leaders like Mark Cuban making these sort of decisions. It's turning people off, quite frankly, guys.
You mentioned Jordan. Mark Cuban might want to speak with his fellow owner, Michael Jordan, who once infamously said, Republicans buy sneakers, too.
Buy sneakers, too, yeah. Classic.
Neither Mark Cuban nor the Mavericks have responded to a request for comment. All right, meantime, Washington Post being dragged for knocking NFL coach Marty Schottenheimer in his obituary. He literally died yesterday. The Post headline says, NFL coach whose teams wilted in the postseason dies at 77. They then changed that, one of the NFL's winningest coaches. But doesn't this harken back to a time when they had another problem with an obituary, referring to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi as an austere religious scholar at the helm of the Islamic State? I mean, what's their deal there with obit headline writing?
It's amazing, right? Because these things are usually planned in advance. Marty had been sick for a bit now, and obviously they could plan ahead, so to speak. That's what happens with obituaries. Look, Marty Schottenheimer is a class act. He also, by the way, is the 8th winningest coach of all time. That should have been the original headline. Instead, the headline is more sympathetic to an actual terror leader than it is for the great Marty Schottenheimer, who, yeah, he never won a Super Bowl, but many great coaches haven't. Right. And it's just a whole bowl of wrong, guys. And I was so sad to see that. Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace. Certainly one of the best the NFL has seen at the coaching position. And
we are told that they did apologize for that. Joe Concha, thank you.
Good to hear.
Thanks, Joe.